Welcome again, grade 12 students. To continue the lesson 3, this video focuses on the remaining parts of chapter 1. These are the research problem, significance of the study, scope and delimitation, and the definition of terms. In the last video, we discussed how to write the background of the study and draft your conceptual framework. Now, let's have the research problem. What about the statement of the problem? It tells what is done to make an existing situation more like what it should be and exposes anything that is wrong with the situation, conditions, or circumstances which is being described. It has two main elements, the main objective and the research questions or objectives. Your statement of the problem should begin with the main objective of the study. The main objective is the general and long-term objective expected to be achieved by the researcher. It is prefixed with the introductory phrases, the main objective of the study is to, or the main thrust of the study is to, or simply this study aims to, and so on. The main objective is then followed by the research questions. These are the specific questions to be answered in the study, and answers should lead to the solution of the problem. It is usually prefixed with the introductories, specifically the study aims to, or specifically the study seeks to answer the following questions, and so on and so forth. Let's have some examples. This statement of the problem taken from a study goes, this study aims to evaluate the status and extent of implementation of the computer education program in the Division of Rizal in school year 2015-2016 as perceived by student and teacher respondents. So that is the main objective of the study. Then followed by specifically, this seeks to answer the following questions. What is the profile of the students or the respondents in terms of teacher respondents, and then sub-variables, sex, field of specialization, educational attainment, length of service, computer education, seminar or training attended, and then another main variable, student respondents, sample, and then the following sub-variables, sex, monthly family income, accessibility to computer, and performance in English and mathematics. And then there's another question, what is the extent of the computer education program implementation as perceived by the student respondents, teacher respondents with respect to, so we have here the sub-variables. And then another question, what extent of computer education program implementation as perceived by the student respondents or teacher respondents with respect to, again, the following variables. So see the specific questions the researcher aimed to answer in the study. If you were to be asked, what do you think is the title of the research? In many studies that have read or encountered, the title can be seen or taken from the main objective. For example, here the main objective is to evaluate the status and extent of implementation of the computer education program in the Division of Rizal, school year 2015-2016, as perceived by teacher and student respondents. So the title may be Evaluation of the Status and Extent of Implementation of the Computer Education Program in the Division of Rizal, school year 2015-2016, as perceived by teacher and student respondents. So, do you see the pattern? Though the title is too long, as we have discussed in other videos, the title must not be longer than 15. But if you cannot avoid the title longer than 15 words, then it would be possible, in some cases. Let's have another example. This study has this as its statement of the problem. The main purpose of the study was to find out the effects of alternative assessment on problem-solving performance, critical thinking, and attitude towards mathematics. Specifically, the study sought to answer the following questions. Number one, to what extent does portfolio assessment affect pre-service mathematics teachers in terms of the following: problem solving, performance, critical thinking, and attitude towards mathematics? Question number two, is the effect of using alternative assessment moderated by the level of mathematical abilities of the students? And number three, what is the nature of the relationship between these pairs of variables: problem solving performance and critical thinking, problem solving performance, and attitude toward mathematics? And number four, what are the students' performance or perceptions on the use of alternative assessment? Again, what do you think is the title of the research? Look at the main objective. It says there to find out the effects of alternative assessment on problem solving performance, critical thinking, and attitude towards mathematics. So the title would most likely be the effect of alternative assessment on problem solving performance, critical thinking, and attitude towards mathematics of a certain group of students. Okay, so we have here the introductory words: assessing the, determining the, identifying the, evaluating the, exploring the, analyzing the. Depending on the type of research, you can choose the most appropriate verb or word in writing your main objective. For example, studying techniques of senior high school students of Malintan National High School. What do you think is the type of research do we have here? Obviously, based on the title, the study only aims to describe or explore the studying techniques of the students. So you can have the main purpose of the study to describe. So the main purpose will be the study aims to, and then you will have this introductory sentence. The study aims to, or the main purpose of the study is to describe or explore or assess the studying techniques of students, and so on and so forth. Or, okay, let's begin with descriptive survey researches. Descriptive survey research is conducted to describe what exists and may uncover new facts and meanings, to observe, describe, and document the aspect of a situation as it not naturally occurs. For example, description of how first grade students spend their time during summer, kinds of physical activities that occur in school and how frequently each occurs, extent to which elementary teachers use manipulatives. Examples. So these are examples of descriptive research questions. First, how many calories do Filipinos consume per day? The main variable here is the daily calorie intake, and the group involved is Filipinos. Okay. Okay. Next, let's have how do students, another example, how often do university students from Manila use Facebook each week? What is the main variable here? Yes, it's Facebook use, and group involved, university students, correct. Next is the correlational research. Correlational research is conducted to determine extent of relationship between two or more variables using statistical data. For example, the relationship between self-esteem and intelligence, or types of activities used in mathematics and student achievement, or weight and anxiety, or smoking and lung disease, or aptitude test and success in math course. So you will see combination of two or more variables in in each sample. So correlational studies deal with explore relationship between or among identified variables. Let's have some examples. Okay. What is the relationship between gender and attitude towards music piracy among students or adolescents? Sorry. The dependent variable is attitude towards music. The independent variable is gender. Is there a significant relationship between gender and attitude towards music among adolescents? So you see here there is a research question that requires hypothesis testing. The group involved is adolescents. Another example, what is the relationship between study time and exam scores among university students? The dependent variable here is exam scores. The independent variable is the study time, and the group involved is university students. Next is the experimental research. The most effective method for testing cause and effect relationships is this type of research, quasi-experimental or causal comparative. Often called true experimental, which uses, causal comparative. Causal comparative, okay. To establish cause and effect relationships among variables. For example, the effect of taking vitamins on a student's school attendance, supplementary education on algebra achievement, active participation on student attitude. So you see here, for example, in the first example, taking vitamins on students' school attendance. School attendance is the dependent variable. Is taking vitamin affecting the school attendance of students? So taking vitamins is the independent variable, and student school attendance is the dependent variable. The next example, supplementary education on algebra achievement. So the dependent variable here is algebra achievement. Is it affected by the supplementary education? For the third example, we have student attitude. Is student attitude affected by active school participation or lung capacity? Is lung capacity affected by age, or does age affect the lung capacity? So you see here the cause and effect relationship between the two variables. Okay, let's have some examples. What is the difference in the caloric intake of Filipino women and men? The dependent variable here is the daily caloric intake, and the groups involved is Filipino women and men. What are the effects of multivitamins in vitamin intake on male and female university students? And the last one is the experimental research. Experimental research is the most effective method for testing cause and effect relationship. It is often called true experimentation that uses the scientific method to establish the cause and effect relationship among a group of variables that make up the study. So as discussed in other videos, experimental research involves manipulation of variables or control of. And you can also check the other examples. Okay, let's have letter B here. What are the effects of beer consumption on male and female physical health? So we have here dependent variable. The dependent variable here is beer consumption. The effect on physical health. So physical health is affected by beer consumption. So physical health is the dependent variable, and beer consumption is the independent variable. And the group involved here is the male and the female, are the male and female groups. Letter C, research type. This is causal comparative. This is causal comparative. You are comparing two groups. How does beer consumption affect the physical health of men and women, or males and females? Letter C, what are the differences in perceptions towards internet banking security between adolescents and pensioners? The variable here, the independent variable here, I hope that can be correct. That you can correct that. Depending on the type of research that where you can have both dependent and independent. In descriptive researches, you only have an independent the independent variables, variable or variables. So letter C here, what are the differences? So you are just describing. Your purpose is only this to describe the perceptions towards internet banking between adolescents and pensioners. So meaning you are describing but comparing between adolescents and pensioners. So this is still under descriptive but comparative, descriptive comparative, survey descriptive. So we have independent variable. The independent variable is perceptions towards internet banking. And then the two groups are adolescents and pensioners. Let's have another one. Letter D. What is the relationship between length of physical education period and overall fitness of elementary students? So we have here dependent and independent variables. So the dependent variable is length of physical education period, and the dependent variable is the overall fitness. The independent variable is the physical education period or length of physical. Does the length of physical education period affect the overall performance or fitness of elementary students? So you are correlating the two variables. So this one is you want to explore whether the length of physical education is related to or has a significant relationship with their overall performance. So this will fall on the correlational type of research. Okay, let's go to hypothesis testing. Okay. Okay. So for hypothesis testing, descriptive or survey researches do not normally have hypotheses. This is because they do not employ statistical tests. There is no statistical analysis required to finish a study or to explain the data, to interpret data gathered in the study. Meaning, they do not need to test for relationship among variables or difference between variables or dependence of variables with or among one another. A research hypothesis usually goes, there is no significant relationship or there is no significant difference between. So you are assuming, you are hypothesizing that there is no significant relationship between the two or more variables involved in the study. Significance of the study. So again, hypothesis statement usually goes like, there is no significant relationship between, this is normally the null hypothesis when you are doing the hypothesis testing. So if you are to convert this positively, there is significant relationship between the two variables, or there is for example, length of physical education time has a significant effect on the overall fitness of senior high school students. So that's how we express or write our research hypothesis. Significance of the study. This is to specify who or what or even when, where will significance of the study is only to specify what or who will benefit from the study, or to what or whom will the results be beneficial or significant or helpful. The statement usually begins with the results of the study will benefit the following. So normally you are specifying, identifying and identifying who will benefit or what organizations or groups, for example, will benefit. And then you will describe how they will benefit. Next component is the scope and delimitation. So in here, you provide details about how you will limit selection of respondents or cover certain areas and other necessary details. So scope and delimitation normally answers the question, the WH question: what, where, when, and the likes. The last part is the definition of terms. The terms to be defined here should be defined operationally, meaning you will not get definitions from dictionaries or search the Google engine. Instead, you craft your definition according to how the term will be used in the study. So you call that operational definition of terms. So that ends our discussion for the content of chapter 1. I hope you are more than ready to craft your chapter 1. So that will be all. Thank you for watching.